And we're live, yay! Thanks everyone for being so patient, and I can't believe the turnout. And this is amazing, and I'm so glad to see that there's so many people out there that think getting families outdoors is really important because we feel the same way. Thank you to the Outdoor Foundation for giving us this platform. Um, it's incredible. I just want to go down the line really quick and introduce our panel. Here we have Sasha, and she is from the Outdoor Foundation. And we also have Tom Adams from the Governor's Office. He is with the Office of Outdoor Recreation. Shawn Parry with Teton Sports. We have Scott Welch, he's from Columbia Sportswear. We also have Ann Crick, and she's with the North Face. Grace Lee from the National Park Trust, and Erin Kirkland. She is the managing editor of Outdoor Families Magazine. Woo! And I'm Jennifer Fontaine. I am the founder of Outdoors Families Magazine. So really quick, we're just gonna go right into a very awesome video that the North Face produced recently called The Little Explorers. And it's a really great example of how retailers are changing up their marketing to really relate more to families. So let's roll it. A little expeditions. It's such a great, I remember the first time I saw that, I literally teared up. It just brought up all the emotions of like what we're doing, and to see North Face produce something so wonderful, I loved it. So Anne, it's no secret that the North Face, their marketing is mostly geared towards adults bagging peaks and stuff like that. But with this Little Expeditions short film and the fact that the Explore Fund this year gave 3 grants specifically to programs that are targeting families and getting families outside. I was wondering how you think the North Face parlays this community building into tactile marketing within the youth and family market.
Hello, everybody. Is this on? Yep. Hope everybody's having a good show this morning. Yeah, this video was quite a departure for us. We ended up making this video because do you guys know Colin Kennedy is a pro skateboarder? He came to us and he said, my son, Sony, is so adorable, and he is just having such a great time exploring the world and getting outside, and we'd like to work with you to make this video. So we said, yeah, that would be awesome, and so his dad produced this. So that's a little Sonny up there wandering around the world, and it was great that the timing of this piece being put together aligned with our announcing our grant cycle for our Explore Fund grants this fall. So they went hand in hand really great together. But I must say, while we at the North Face are very involved in supporting programs that welcome people, encourage people to get outdoors, we don't particularly market to youth or to families, although we are very invested in inspiring people to get outside. So I think the Explorer Fund that you called out is a great example of that. And actually, we gave out about 44 grants that went to youth and families. And my friend here from the National Park Trust, she's going to talk about a grant that they received.
Yeah.
To speak to the marketing of that, this video, for it being kind of a lucky piece that someone came to us and said, hey, why don't you do this? It really is inspirational and would speak to getting youth outside. But it did get 3,490,000 media impressions and 235 downloads on YouTube and Twitter. So a lot of people liked it and they shared it quite a bit. So again, the North Face, while we don't particularly market to youth and kids, we love to tell the stories of the programs that we help support through the Explorer Fund grants to inspire people to get outside.
It's wonderful. Great job. You guys did a great job. Shawn, I wanted to know, so Teton Sports, you guys, your style of marketing is more of like a grassroots approach. You cater more to the outdoor leisure market. It's not so much like really hardcore. But what do you say the biggest challenges have been with Teton Sports in order to sell and to influence in the youth outdoor market?
All right, is this one working? Yeah. Okay. No, that's a great question. We racked our brains thinking about that quite a bit, because that grassroots style marketing is very much who we are. With families, that's a lot. In fact, the owner has 7 kids, and so that's a lot of what we do is that grassroots style, very invest in people. So the biggest issue that we have is kind of pulling away and getting more people, because we invest so much in people. I had a conversation right before this that I watched somebody's kid grow up over social media for 4 years because we invest so much in those people. Yeah. So for us, that grassroots style is just reaching more people. That's the hardest part that we have, but we have a good payoff back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely. My next question goes to Scott. So Columbia financially supports a very diverse group of partners to create opportunities for kids to get outside, like Big City Mountaineers, for example, is a really prominent one that you work with. I was wondering, has Columbia seen this approach directly lead to an increase in consumer spending in the youth markets? Is that something that you think you'll in that space you'll spend a lot of time focused on?
Well, the numbers are a bit difficult this year due to the kind of upheaval in U.S. retail distribution. But our goal really is we support these great groups and other groups. I see Kyle from Outdoors Empowered, another great group that we support. We feel that there's groups out there that know best how to get kids and families outdoors, and that our role is really to support those groups and get as many resources out there as we can. We also know that kids oftentimes have much more influence over their parents than the parents may have over the kids. So anytime we can influence kids to ask their parents to take them outdoors or have the outdoors be a solution to a kid's needs, then that helps us as well. So I think that we really try to learn from as many different diverse partners as we can. I think kids are a lot like the people who join our industry. We all come from different perspectives, and you don't know what might have driven someone to care about the outdoors. But our goal is really just to introduce you to the outdoors and let you find your own passion.
It's fabulous. I love that. Just giving them free range to be able to figure out what works for them, what their comfort levels are, because not everyone does the outdoors in the same way, right?
Yeah, and what's so great about it is that Columbia and North Face can sit side by side and do it together, which is you don't always see in the industry.
Yes, absolutely. Next question goes to Tom. So Tom, obviously you have a really different role than the rest of these guys, but you're working with these guys as from the state level. How do you get all of these retailers and all of your partners in the community together to support the outdoor recreation in Utah?
Yeah, we have a incredibly healthy and strong and vibrant industry within Utah. It's quite phenomenal, and really to start off, I'm really thrilled to be on this panel, and As you might tell from my haircut, I have 3 little boys, so I'm quite passionate about this program. We really want to get, I want to get my kids active, and I want to get the community active. So one way we engage the community, especially the businesses, is we're kind of pioneering this department for states. So there's only 3 other states out there. There's Colorado, if you guys came to the morning breakfast, we heard from Luis Benitez, who's great, and we have John Snyder in Washington. And each one of us find our own challenges, often with funding. And we use our industry partners to help us with funding. So one thing our department has specifically is the Utah Outdoor Recreation Grant. And the grant is designed to create infrastructure. We have $500,000 for that. And we have $100,000 dedicated just to youth outdoor rec programs. And if it wasn't for the industry, whether it be businesses or federal lands or BLM or anybody that engages with recreation, especially in our youth in this case, we wouldn't have that funding. So going forward this year, thanks to all the support from a lot of people in this venue, we have $100,000 going strictly to youth education. So if we have kids out there, Utah houses 25% of the entire country's mountain biking league. So our high school league is quite impressive. And during the main part of the year, they fall under the insurance of NICA. During the rest of the year, they need to train, they need coaching, and our grant will help sponsor and promote those programs that happen on the off season. So one of the big programs. And then we also have folks like Trout Unlimited that are teaching kids to fish, and they're starting in the classroom and then having outdoor activities, which we're all excited to help fund those programs. So,
yeah,
thanks.
Absolutely. It's fabulous work, what you guys are doing.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, absolutely. So my next question, so as we all know, the Outdoor Foundation and what you guys bring to the table, I mean, you really just, you do everything right. It's incredible the work that you guys are doing. The study that you guys just did on the next generation of outdoor participants, it said that 90% of outdoor recreation participants were introduced before the age of 18. And the group with the highest outdoor recreation participation falls within the 6 to 12-year-old demographic. So I thought that was really telling about what our job is to do here, and that's what we need to get those kids from birth outside. So often it's the nonprofits, and the schools, you know, that the barrier is it's a financial support problem. So I'd love to hear about what you guys do, largely made out of, you know, small to mid-sized companies, to get those companies involved in fostering the kids from a young age.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a great question. I think, you know, just on this panel, we have such incredible supporters, and some of the larger brands are able to get behind it and make some really substantial changes and really engage young people in a way that's super meaningful. But I think we started looking at what was happening and thinking, and you know, me having had brand experience as well, thinking like it's really hard as a smaller brand or as an individual to know how to make real change or how to really invest in the ways that are impactful, that really help get young people connected. And so that was sort of a thought that we had, and really, if you guys sort of followed this, I'm sure you all did, but the administration choosing to give fourth graders the opportunity to get into parks at no cost, that's been obviously an incredible opportunity and a great way to celebrate the centennial. And so for us, I think we saw that, and this is incredible, but there's still the barrier for a lot of people on participation tied to like if they can't get there, basically. So transportation or gear or whatever. And so seeing that, we launched a program called Parks for Kids. And the whole idea was really a crowdfunding site where teachers or nonprofits could create pages that said their needs. Like, this is what I need in order to get my fourth grade class to a park. And we really saw the need was really like an average of $500 for many of them. Like, that's all they needed to make it happen.
Crazy.
And so the program we launched last show, and the idea was to let small brands and individuals really get involved. And so that was incredible. We've raised $75,000 through that. And this show, if you guys are noticing, I don't have my badge on, but our Give Back Badge program. So for $15, you can help connect a young person to a park. And we're choosing projects that are just $15. So really, we want to democratize the process for all of us and know that, you know, all of us have a responsibility of investing in the next generation. So
That's so
Thank you.
great. And I know, like, I mean, there's so many, especially the small businesses who really want to make an impact. They just don't have the opportunity, the resources to do that. So I love what you guys are doing, and thank you.
Thank you.
Grace Lee, I'm so glad you're here. National Parks Trust is one of our partners that we've worked with since we launched almost 2 years ago, and we're so happy to have you here. So, you know, the people as high up as the president, as you mentioned, the first lady, you know, we're all advocating to get more kids outside. They're dedicated to the movement. And people like Latino Outdoors, people like Outdoor Afro, the immediate success of our publication, it only goes to prove that there is a need. People are pining for this information and this knowledge. And so I was just wondering, as a nonprofit dedicated to the work that you do, what does the National Park Trust recognize as the largest piece of the pie potentially to be filled by the support of the major retailers? Like, what are you looking for from the retailers that can help you the most?
Well, thank you all for inviting me to be here, Jen, and Aaron Outdoor Families. The National Park Trust is, first of all, delighted that the First Family and the Secretary of the Interior, Sally Jewell, and John Jarvis have really stepped into the light and really focused on the importance of getting young people outdoors, the littlest children who are going to be our future park stewards. You know, there's a statistic that there's almost 300 million people that went to the national parks 2 years ago, but most of them are an older and white and aging population. And we all know that the minorities are going to become the majority very soon. So if we don't make urban children of color comfortable in the outdoors, we're all going to be in a lot of trouble. Our parks, our economy, the outdoor retail industry will all be impacted. So the National Park Trust has created 2 flagship programs to address this issue. And it's wonderful to have such great support from Outdoor Families. And one is our Buddy Bison School Program. There's little Buddy Bison hanging over there. The program is all around about, we want to know where Buddy Bison's been. And so we are wonderfully excited about the fact that we've got 60 schools that are in the Buddy Bison program, 60 Title I schools, and 80% of the children are underserved. And thanks to our partnership with the Outdoor Foundation and their Parks for Kids program, Sasha was saying, we received a wonderful grant that's going to allow us to get every 4th grader in Washington, D.C.'s public schools to a national park. That is huge.
Yes.
So thank you all for that. And they have really stepped into the light and made a commitment. That's 74 elementary schools that we're going to be working with and over 3,000 4th graders in support of the President's Every Kid in a Park initiative. Likewise, the North Face with their Explore grants, as Ann said, they for years have worked with us to get children from diverse communities of color out to the parks. For most of these children, this is their very first park experience. And so the Explore Fund is allowing us this year to expand our partnership, and we are going to be working with them to bring children of color in 5 key markets that are important to North Face. So DC, Chicago, Boston, San Francisco, they're all going to be part of this whole initiative. And so we're really excited to be able to let those communities know that there's an opportunity for their children to explore these parks. We also think that we know how impressionable children are. Scott, you just said that parents listen to what their kids say, correct? And I'm an empty nester, so I know that firsthand as well. We know that this is an incredible opportunity for the outdoor industry to be able to highlight and focus on getting these kids connected to their brands, because they're going to need products if they go to parks, correct? So we are really excited about hoping that more outdoor industry retailers will follow suit with the North Face, the Outdoor Foundation, and REI to help us make those connections, because we know how important brand identity and brand loyalty is, and getting kids engaged at a very young age, and their families. And a lot of these families, these are their first park experiences, so that's huge. So one of the piece of the pie is getting more outdoor retailers to step up, as many of the folks up here have, to make those connections, help us make those connections. The other initiative we have is called Kids to Parks Day, which is celebrated the 3rd Saturday in May, and we have engaged 50 or more of the top outdoor bloggers, including Outdoor Families magazine, And it's a way to really get connected to kids in all socioeconomic levels all across the country. Last year was our 6th year of Kids to Parks Day, and we had over 730,000 participants.
Wow.
They went to over 1,000 park events across the country. It's another incredible opportunity for the outdoor industry to be able to highlight their brands and the products that these young families will, need to be able to have these great park experiences. So, the things that we are asking the outdoor industry to help us with, the outdoor retailers, is not only to continue to provide financial support for helping us to get kids and provide that critical school bus funding that they need. And second of all is help us with in-kind product. We have kids that we take camping for the first time, rock climbing, and REI and North Face have been terrific about getting us volunteers, camping equipment, rock climbing equipment, and the expertise to make these kids have an amazing experience so they want to do it again and again. And the third thing is we really need help in connecting to the marketing and communications departments of all of these wonderful outdoor retailers, because I think there's an incredible PR opportunity here to not only market their brand, but also to show how they're such great participants in supporting their community. So they're giving back to the community. They're elevating and providing the outdoor expertise for these young families who don't have this experience, and also providing wonderful resources to help us get kids to parks. So that marketing piece is really important. We have amazing partners for Kids to Parks Day, 18 national partners, including the Outdoor Alliance for Kids, the Sierra Club, Outdoor Families, the National Park Service, federal agencies, but we are missing is support from the outdoor retail industry. So we're looking forward to having them support us in Kids to Parks Day as well.
I'd love to go back to something that you said, Grace. I think it's really important. That I know, as a mom and as a lot, having a lot of friends who have kids, we sit around the campfire all the time and talk about how important it is to, when you get your kids outside, to have great gear on them. Otherwise, it's just a meltdown waiting to happen. If a kid is cold, if the jacket doesn't work properly, it's just not fun to get outside. And so I'd love for the 3 retailers up here to speak a little bit about how you go about really developing those lines for kids and the insight that you have in that arena, if you'd like to.
I'll take it. Do you want to go? How about it?
After you. Well, I wanted to say, layer on to one thing Grace said, was, when Grace is talking about the Outdoor Foundation making these great donations, it's that, the Outdoor Foundation is the Outdoor Industry Association's foundation. So that's all of us, am I right, making those donations. So everybody in this building who's a part of the Outdoor Industry Association, who's a member, can take pride in that donation, because that's for all of us. For us, I can't speak much about youth because I am in outdoor participation and communications, but I know our team spends a lot of time observing in outdoor camps for kids to see what they like to wear, what they're happy wearing, what do the parents have to fight to put on the kids, and what do they happily put on and run off. And so I think it's a lot of observing and talking to a lot of parents, because it's a product line that you really can't develop in a vacuum.
You got to be on the ground.
I want to talk to that as well. So I'm the head of design for Teton Sports. One thing that I love to see is seeding. We seed product to people. In fact, you were one of them. You helped us designing our kids' lines.
Yeah.
She mentioned it. We don't design in a vacuum for this. You cannot do that. We have to get product into people's hands, even if it's a sample, and say, hey, we hate this. Change it. Our kid destroyed it. We love that type of feedback. So designing that way, I think is the best thing that you can do, because it's field testing 101. We have a motto at our company, get outdoors and enjoy life. And you can't have that second part if your kid's upset, throwing a tantrum.
Truth. That is truth.
Yeah, I definitely agree with both speakers. Consumer insight is huge. Some of the biggest challenge, though, is that with kids, cool is the biggest driving factor. And there's several years ago, I remember we did a big coat drive, later to find out that almost every kid hid the coat behind a bush and wore a hoodie because a hoodie was cool and a coat wasn't cool. So it's layering that function for the parents, but having a little fashion for the kids, because it still needs to be cool or they're just not going to wear it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good point. Design and function, they go hand in hand. Absolutely. Anne, did you have a point?
I was just going to add to your point that, you know, our lifetime warranty, kids' products aren't exempt, and they might be hard. Some kids are probably harder on product than Conrad Anchor is on the mountains. So
Awesome. Yeah, sure. Tom, please.
So one thing that I've seen over the years is, and definitely as a parent with 3 boys, I want things to last a little while and to have some longevity to it. And you've seen trends, especially in the climbing world. That's where I have come from. I spent the last 20 years as a retailer or as a manufacturer with climbing brands. And we've seen harnesses go from full body harnesses to sit harnesses just like mom and dad have that are cool with modular chest harnesses. So it's stuff like that that allows kids to be safe with the chest harness, strip it off 2 years down the road, and they still have a really cool, fashionable sit harness. So I appreciate those manufacturers that are doing stuff like that.
Yeah, that's great. Innovation, absolutely. So last but not least, hi, Erin.
Hi, Jen.
So as the editor of Outdoor Families magazines, how do you measure the importance of the outdoor retailer's job to disrupt their old marketing ways to their narratives that we see all the time, you know, that are pinpointed for adults and you know, the hardcore adventurer? How do you see them possibly creating those game-changing narratives that speak more to the youth and family markets?
Well, first of all, thank you all so much for your insights, because as the mother of an 11-year-old boy who thinks cool is the only way to go, the heck with the function part, it just has to look really cool. But I've learned a lot. I've learned how you're supporting this industry, but I've learned what decisions you're making and why you're making them, and that's really important as a parent, because I think sometimes when we don't see necessarily what we want from a brand or a retailer, we get kind of confused, and this helps provide a little bit of insight. But we at Outdoor Families magazine have always operated under the premise of every family should be able to get outdoors. And sometimes it can be a little challenging to address that with retailers when we're hearing very loud and clear what families want. So on our platforms like social media, parents are constantly comparing notes with what brand did you like for this activity and what coat wore out really fast for your rambunctious son. I have 2 sons. And sometimes that's the hardest part. How do you know when they're going to grow out of it before they wear it out, right? Mm-hmm. Or maybe they both happen at the same time. So what we're hearing is that parents want to know about the tools they have so that they can get outside. And good gear, great gear, is one of those tools as part of a whole spectrum that needs to happen before people can safely, comfortably, and enjoyably get outdoors. So I think what we're looking at the magazine for next year is that every family should be outdoors, but let's talk to retailers and start right there with that foundation of the toolbox. Great gear, good-looking gear, and gear that is going to fit kids well and keep them safe and keep them comfortable. Because ultimately, I don't know how many of you can see this little one toddling around up front, but this is where it starts, right? So this young lady is going to grow up and be a steward of our outdoors. And that's where we need to be thinking, is how fast they're going to grow up and be part of this huge mission to protect and preserve. But also, it has to be viable for the industry. So we completely get that. So there's got to be a middle ground, maybe starting small with something like we're doing right now. I'm not sure this has ever happened. So this is a good place to start, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really important for, the retailers to, especially with, the short film that North Face just did, to understand this, the idea of inclusiveness, that we're here, and we want to see ourselves represented in those, our favorite brands that we love to go and buy. we want to see that they're embracing the whole family and not just the one aspect of the family.
And Shawn made a really good point where, you know, I think retailers have to be open to letting the people, families, try out this stuff, ride it hard, and put it away wet, you know? I mean, let's see how long it takes a kid to destroy a coat, or see how long it's going to take, you know, for their shoes to wear out, or something like that. And be open to our feedback, right? Shawn, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, but I think that's how it's going to work, right?
Yeah. And I'm sure there's a lot of that going on, right? I'm sure it's already going on. But I feel like, I don't know, in our little niche market, there's a sort of a feeling of being like left out a little bit. So I think it's wonderful, like example again, like what the North Face is doing in their marketing, and I just want to say thank you, Anne. And everybody, absolutely.
We have to, you know, it's super rewarding to see that the kids need this product.
Yeah.
You know, the kids are getting outside, and you know, for us, you know, our Explore Fund grant's about $500,000 a year, and it funds programs that are close to home. So if somebody sees one of our grown-up videos and, you know, goes to mom and says, "Hey, mom, the mountains are calling and I've got to go," and mom says, "I don't know what that means and it scares me to death," you know, we'd like there to be programs in people's communities that many people on this panel, you know, their companies would help support to welcome people into the outdoors. So it's very rewarding to hear that it's a growing market and kids, you know, are out there getting after it and need, you know, the products to keep them warm and dry and safe.
You know, and we're also finding from all the schools that we work with that teachers are really craving these park experiences. They really want to connect their students, not only for the health and wellness of outdoor recreation, but also because parks are wonderful outdoor classrooms for science, history, and social studies. So the teachers are really helping us to drive this whole space and getting their children, you know, many of them, as I said, are first-time park goers connected to the parks.
And I would also add that don't forget about millennials, because millennials are cool to younger kids, and millennials can be those key influencers. We have a program that just launched its 4th year called the Find Your Park Expedition with the National Park Foundation. You can follow it online. It's all about identifying 8 multicultural millennial social media superstars, and they go on a week-long adventure in the national parks and simply just tell their story. The program's not meant to sell a bunch of Columbia gear the next week or tie into a specific style. It's really just meant to introduce the brand and hopefully inspire followers of those social media superstars to find their own park and get outdoors. So it's a really cool way to use millennials to really influence those kids that are one generation below who look up to them more than any other group.
That's great. Shawn, did you have something?
No.
Oh, okay, great. I think at this time we're going to open up the questions on the floor. There's a mic right there where Suzanne's standing. Suzanne from MyMayo, everyone. Anyone have any questions? Feel free. We'd love to get some insight as to what our audience has thought about it.
Hi everyone, Hi everyone, can you hear me? Yeah, I'm Suzanne Solsona, the co-founder of MyMayo. We make kids boots. And really, we're parents. And what I found as a parent, one of the reasons we started the company is that we could not find parent-designed gear. We would find outdoor gear for our kids that seemed like shrunken versions of adult stuff. And so, for example, we very consciously designed our gear so that it takes the needs of both the parents and the child into account. So maybe that's a question out to the larger brands, and maybe what are you doing to take not only the needs of the kids into the design process, but the people who have to take care of these kids? Let's prevent those meltdowns. I mean, one of the reasons we made the boots is because, you know, my son kept doing face plants literally into the water, and when I just went, I can't play outside anymore. If we have to go home because of his footwear. So that's how our brand started. So I was just wondering if maybe you can speak to that a little bit more about how you as larger brands are bringing the parent idea as well as the kids' needs into your gear?
That's a great question, and I love that. So one thing that I've been talking about is our openness. We use social media as a way to not only talk to you guys, but to listen more. So any feedback on product that you hear from any brand, we love to hear that because we're always listening to see what type of stuff that can be improved on. And, you know, a boot one day might not be good, but after hearing your feedback, the next production run, we might make a tweak or a tweak. We don't do boots, we do camping gear, but the same idea applies. And we love getting that feedback from the parents, what they see from the kid. So that's a fantastic way to reach out to brands like us. So get social.
And I think, yeah.
Well, for us at the North Face, you know, our athletes inform so much of our products. Our athletes are in our office all the time. We create our products, you know, to meet their needs. And it's the same with the youth programs. We have a lot of athletes who are parents, Kit Delorier and Hillary O'Neill and Mark Sinnott, and they want stuff that's going to be super functional for their toddlers and little kids, and they're a very vocal group. They're really used to getting what they want in products, and we have them in all the time. And I would say that, you know, in addition to, you know, when we go out and observe and talk to the moms and dads and caretakers, I think our parent athletes are pretty influential in our line.
I think it's a super challenging question. The athleisure trend is almost the lead into a kid trend of how do you make something that works in every environment for the kid, because you don't want a bunch of specialized stuff. I know we're working on it. One of the more recent sort of innovations in our kids product is we have an extendable arm on the jackets, so it grows over time. But I know just from doing donations out to kids, and we have a program where we donate out to needy kids in Portland, and picking the size run for 6th graders every year is like impossible. We're totally wrong every year. Either it doesn't zip up or it's too long in the sleeve. So I think it's a really difficult space to do that, but the more influence we can get from parents who are also buyers, the better, as long as we get some fashion influence from your kids.
I'd love to just have a quick follow-up. With large companies like Columbia and like the North Face, when you get that feedback from the clients, from your customers, how quickly are you able to really turn on the dime and get those new designs out into the consumer space?
So for us, our designers are constantly out gaining new knowledge. We've done projects as specific as going to 3 cities in America, choosing people and going through their entire closet and chest of drawers and asking them why they bought every single piece they bought and how they would change it. So we're into it, and the designers each year will go on some sort of inspirational journey, and then they come back and tie that information in. We also have sort of a mini version of Shark Tank where designers can pitch what they think is the next new thing, and the winning idea does get funded each year. So we've created some competition internally to get people motivated and inspired to get as knowledgeable as they can, and then turn it around quick so we see the value quick, so it keeps that process momentum going.
Great.
Well, that's a very good question, and at the North Face, I must say that answering that question is above my pay grade. It seems like some things get incorporated really quickly, and sometimes, you know, we're talking about the future, so I'm not really qualified to answer that.
Anyone, questions?
Hi, my name is Shane Abrahimi, and I have a stand-up paddleboard company called Shaboomy out of Carbondale, Colorado. I'd like to thank you all for being up here. And of paramount importance to me is to get kids out on water, get them to nature, get them away from computers. I work with the Girl Scouts, I work with the kids from the Shining Stars, the kids from the Buddy Program, all nonprofits. And in the guiding part of my business, I also design and manufacture boards. I discount for nonprofits immensely. One of the challenges that I've found, and I think this would reach out to a lot of small companies around the country that have a desire to get kids outside, because that's our goal, is the permitting process. Is there any way, do you have any ideas on how to streamline the permitting process for single events, or so that when a company does have a passion to get kids outside, that they don't have to plan it 7-8 months in advance through the BLM or through the national parks, to be able to get a permit, to get them out there to go play and be in nature and adventure, to open their eyes to the beauty that's around us.
I can talk to that a bit, and just to say, you go ahead. I was just going to say, so again, probably maybe sideways to my pay grade. I don't know how to say this. Not exactly what we do, but I will say that the OIA is working really hard on this. We have a great lobbyist that has some exciting things happening with this regard. So I know that this is a concern for all of us in that space. And I know as someone who has been a guide, I see it, I know what it's like to pull a permit. So just to say that you can be proud that your industry is behind you and shares a concern and is working hard to make access easier. That's great.
Yeah, and I can add to that, we have a formal partnership with the National Park Service, and yet we have to get permits also. So I think a lot of it is, it's a process that's been in place for a long time. I actually am so glad that you said this, because it's something that I can talk to our contacts with to see if there's any way that they can streamline, short of having a partnership, which we have, a lot of times we can do events with children. We can bring them out to the park or to the federal land without any problem. But if we do a special event, like what we're going to be doing with REI and the Outdoor Foundation and North Face, we will have to get a permit as well. But I think it's possible that perhaps having a formal partnership with the agency will allow you to bring children out as long as it's not a special event. I guess I don't know if that helps any, but I'm happy to talk with you a little bit more about that. It's a really good question, and something that I know can be very, very frustrating.
Permitting is definitely an issue in Utah as well, especially along the Wasatch Front. And one thing that we've done at the city level, especially for stand-up paddle boards, we've created urban fisheries or urban multi-use ponds, which are quite large, that allow businesses like yourself to come out and for minimal fees be able to run a guide service or whatever it might be, but to do it 10, 15 minutes from your house, which makes it really accessible.
Yeah, I would echo all those, and also know that the agencies now are actually pretty motivated to do this because they want to get kids outdoors as well. The National Parks Service for sure, but many others. Another area that you might work with is collegiate outdoor recreation programs. We've had a lot of partnerships with them around the country, and they're really doing a great job of getting 18 to 25-year-olds outdoors, and they're also just gems of their universities these days.
Great. Hi, Heather.
Hi, I'm Heather Munt. I am a contributing editor for Outdoor Families. I'm hugely proud of you guys. This is so wonderful. I just wanted to bring up the point, a lot of the things that we talk about is a barrier to entry is not only cost, but I feel like intimidation is another one. We have a lot of parents out there, and I know I come across it with my own friends who feel like, I'm not doing enough. I'm not going to climb a 14er like you do. I don't live in Colorado. I don't have 14ers. I have trails. I have paved trails. How are you marketing to those parents who aren't quite sure enough of themselves to get themselves out the door, yet their kids? And, there's I guess the term that we talked about is parent shaming. Like, you're not enough as a parent. You're failing as a parent. So how are you marketing to that parent? Are you keeping that parent in mind, that everyday mom who's just trying to take a walk? And what do you say to your peers in the retail industry who maybe haven't embraced this idea of getting into the marketing business to grow their customers, to go with the customer from the base up and really embrace this family idea without losing their cool factor? What would you say to your peers, and how are you trying to encourage the average parent to get outside with their kids?
I really want to answer that. I really want to hear from our retail partners too, but I feel like this is the reason why we exist. This is why we are here, to create that narrative as a platform for the brands to market to that specific niche. And we're a great delivery platform for their message as it speaks directly to the families. And so I think providing the content that we do to be able to inform parents who aren't as knowledgeable about getting outdoors so that they feel less scared to do so, yeah.
You guys, I take it, are on social media, the majority of you. We run something every Friday at noon, or 10 here, noon Eastern Standard Time, called Hiker Chat. And it's a fantastic chat, but what we do with that is we take, if you're a complete beginner to knocking out the craziest stuff in the world, we like to facilitate and line you up with people who can help you and do that sort of stuff. So there isn't any shaming. It's a completely open community. And there's a lot of education on there. If you have time, sit in on it once. It goes fast. It's crazy. But it is a blast. You'll come back again and again. But there's a lot of information there. Even if you stock it, you can get a lot of details that should help with that and start making it a little bit more easy to get into that space.
Well, and let me reiterate that we know that you guys, I mean, we're not speaking to you. We're not, like, you guys are at the forefront of what I think needs to happen for outdoor family marketing. So I think I've seen Hiker Chat, and I think that's a great start.
And I would jump back on something that was mentioned earlier. I would say that there's not a lot of companies doing a good job at this. I would not say that we're doing a good job at this at Columbia.
You are. Wow.
But I would think that if you look around even the show, you still see mostly white faces. You still see people on top of mountains.
Yep.
We don't show you outdoors, so why would you feel comfortable wearing us? We don't create that comfort. And a lot of other consumer companies have done way better at that, and we have to figure it out before the demographics change. We have to start now. And so hopefully every year we come, you're going to see more diverse imagery. You're going to see people walking their dogs or walking with their family or doing a simple hike with a baby stroller. At Columbia, our goal is to make product to let you go outdoors and enjoy whatever you want to do. We don't care what it is, but we're not even that great at telling you that. So I think it's a challenge for all of us in the industry to move beyond white people on Mount Everest and show real families.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. I think you're all doing a great job.
I'd like to touch on that too real quick. I think a lot of that starts right here in this show. If you have a booth and you're not welcoming and you're not talking to your customer and their specific needs, that person's going to leave here feeling alienated and not getting the info they needed. I just recently attended a show. I won't tell you where it was or what it was, but I'm not familiar with it, and it's a large show. And I said, I am going to leave this show buying this product in this product segment. And I went to lots of booths. Not one vendor engaged me for an entire day unless I engaged them. So I encourage those of you that are in booths here, talk to those families, talk to those mothers, talk to those fathers, especially the kids that are here, make them feel welcome and talk to them and what they need.
Yeah. Grace, yeah.
You know, Scott, we, John, I wanted to let you know that we actually have had a wonderful partner who's helped us to give us in-kind product because of that reason, because their product is something that people can use every day, the everyday soccer mom or mom and dad who's taking their kids around the block. And Camelback has been really terrific. They provide thousands of in-kind water bottles to us. And these children that every year get thousands of Camelback water bottles now know that brand and now know that that's who they'll go to for getting hydration equipment. And so I think it's a great thing if Columbia and others, you know, here are also targeting that market, because the everyday household is the market that we're connecting with. We hope that eventually they become huge parkaholics, but we got to get them started somehow, you know, and I think to Heather's point.
So we have a sports marketing department that does lots of events. There's like free workouts. There's, you know, endurance challenges for races. You know, they do events that challenge people. But in our outdoor participation group, we want to welcome people to the outdoors, and we really are focusing on that entry level. Let's just like get people out the door in safe, fun environments, and start to enjoy being outside. And that's our mission for a couple of reasons. It's not like we want a bigger piece of the pie in sales. We want the pie to be bigger.
Yeah.
We want more people to be outside and because we want them to mature and then want to be challenged by our sports marketing things. But we also want them to be the next generation of conservationists. And if people don't engage in the outdoors, if they don't know what's their fun thing to do out there, they're not going to vote to preserve our wild places. They're not going to invest. And so through our Explore Fund grant program is where we really look to groups like Outdoor Afro. Many of you probably heard Rue Mapp speak this morning.
No.
Great organization where it's a national organization that people look online for these meetups, and it's like just, hey, we're going for a hike. Bring your kids. This is what we're going to do. They train people to be good leaders. It doesn't cost anything. People find out where these meetups are. They go, they meet, they go on a hike with somebody who knows how to make sure everybody stays hydrated and comfortable and warm. So we try to support groups like that are really doing the welcome.
So I guess I'd just like to ask you, how can we as parents, because I'm speaking as a parent now, how can we as parents help you with what you're trying to do? Because I'm hearing from both sides that here's what we want, here's what you want, and so how can we all kind of work together to accomplish this?
Well, really quickly, invite other kids along when you're taking your kids out. You guys are the enlightened. You're here in the outdoor industry. I trust you're taking your kids out. Invite their friends to come too. Invite their friends' parents to come too, and show them the way.
Lead by example.
I totally agree. And for those of us, when we have extra gear or resources, continue to get them out in the community. I know that we'll stay committed, and I would hope at some point, this could become sort of like the Project Red for our industry, because as my colleague mentioned, we're wasting resources trying to fight for small pieces of pie when we could build the pie much bigger and then make it actually pieces worth fighting over. So hopefully we can move to that point.
Great.
I agree with that. I guess the real question is what we can do for you. You tell us. Yeah, we need to centralize this a little bit.
I think
There we go.
And
There's
this
the
is
platform.
this is a great start. This panel being here on the floor, the most important yearly event for our industry. Working with things like we've been working with Hike It Baby, Shanti Hodges, to get a kid zone here on the floor. It couldn't happen this year, but we're gonna keep fighting for it. I think it's just to make that presence stronger, louder, keep screaming, and I think go ahead.
Maybe another thing that retailers can do is support new brands, smaller brands as well, who are really trying to focus on that market. And as a smaller brand, we're able to actually implement and pivot really quickly because our production runs aren't, hundreds of thousands. They're a bit smaller than that. So we can pivot quite quickly when we get consumer feedback. But as a new brand, it's been quite difficult getting into stores because the children's market is it's not as profitable often for them because kids grow so quickly. So what I would ask is not just from the big brands, is also from the retailers, from a smaller brand perspective, that you give us a chance, that put us in your stores, put us on the shelves, because if retailers aren't supporting the kids brands, then we're not going to be able to grow and reach those kids. And really, parents have a hard time buying something like footwear online if they can't have free shipping and returns forever. Do you know what I mean? Because if they don't fit, or if something doesn't work out for them, it's really tough. So they really want that tactile experience often. And so I would just ask retailers too, if that you could give the brands who are trying to focus on that market a little bit more shelf space. It doesn't have to be a lot, just a little. It would be really helpful.
Great point. Very good. Any other questions?
Hello, I'm Melissa Edge, and I started Adventure Tykes about 7 years ago when my son was 6 months old. And people told me once I became a parent that you weren't going to be able to hike or camp anymore. And I just thought that that was totally absurd. And so I did research after research on how do you camp with an infant? How do you hike with an infant? And all the research I compiled into Adventure Tykes. And Adventure Tykes started as an online store. You know, I could not find gear for infants. And I'm not talking like high technical gear, but infants sweat, and you don't want to put them in cotton in cold weather. And there were very few companies at the time who actually provided outdoor gear for infants. That market has exploded within the last 7 years, and I couldn't keep that retail portion of my website going because the market wasn't there. People did not want to spend $55 on a merino shirt for a 6-month-old who was going to grow out of it in 2 months. But I grew up in the outdoors. I've been a gearhead, so I was dropping my money and wanted my son to have the latest and greatest, and I was like, well, everybody does, and that's not the case. So bringing families into the outdoors, there's so many aspects to it, and I know that it's not going to be an easy process, and this is a great starting point. All of us coming together with the same goal. My son is 7. He's been to 15 national parks. We live in Moab, so you know the outdoors are at our fingertips. He's worn Columbia and North Face since he was a baby, and thank you for providing good gear that grows with them, quality gear. But price is a factor for our average American family, no matter where you live. So my friends are always coming to me because they know I'm a gearhead and they see all the cool things that I'm showing and reviewing and wearing. And they're like, my friend in Colorado, I want a backpack for my son, but I want a cheap one. And I'm like, who do I go to? Who do I, like, what's cheap to you? Because what's cheap to me may not be cheap to them. I'm not going to send them to Walmart. I'm going to send them to an outdoor brand because that's where you're going to get quality and function. So how do we market to these families and show them that, yeah, it may cost this, but it's worth it. It's going to be comfortable. It's quality. It's going to last. Like how, and maybe it's just more feedback for you guys than a question. But that's what I'm finding out from friends and family who don't have a lot of money to drop on gear, but they want their kids to be comfortable hiking a couple miles or you know, their first backpack trip and being able to rent some gear and then buy it. Like, how do we show them that this is what you need? And yeah, it may be a little bit expensive, but it's worth it.
Good feedback. I'm sure that price is always a factor, especially in the family market. You know, how are you able to, you know, include those really high quality materials that makes it functional, that makes it durable, with, you know, at a lower price point? I think it's probably something the retailers are always fighting. They're always up against that.
Yeah, and I think it's something that maybe in the States could potentially be a retailer-manufacturer partnership where you're going to have education done at point of sale. And the challenge really is around volume and price point. And until there's more volume, bringing that technology in, you can't meet price point. So as we get more kids going outdoors and build the volume of the market, then I think you'll see more of that. It's kind of what you've seen in some overseas markets too that haven't matured, where everything is really expensive because we don't have a good, better, best. We just have best.
I want to talk to that one a little bit as well. And being a smaller company in the camping outdoor space, this has been something big for us. I'm going to be a parent soon, so I am very much looking at dollars on things. Thank you. You'll be the first. I'm terrified. That's what I hear. No.
It'll be awesome.
But one thing that we focus on changing it. I mean, when you get into the design enough, you can really start fluctuating those dollars down. So get smart with the design. That's why we reach out to you guys. A product might not work this way, cut it out. Make it work a different way. Bring the dollars down. Well, that's something that we love to focus on, and working with you guys, it's been extremely helpful. So keep doing it. We'd love to do more.
Great.
With Petzl, and I think I appreciate this from Columbia as well as other brands, as a parent, I've really valued those products that it might be a higher sticker price, but I know I'm going to get a couple years out of it because it does have extendable sleeves, extendable
Right.
legs, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. I think we're already over time, but our panelists are going to stick around. So if anyone has any questions, we'll be here for you. I just wanted to thank everyone again for your time. Thank you guys for being here, and thank you for plugging into this important conversation, and let's just keep talking about it.
Thank you guys.